Okay, welcome everybody to Chassidus in the morning, 15 minutes. New maamer or sicha, kuntrish Inyanah Toras Chassidus. This is a very fundamental sefer, and there's also this shir is being learned for Shalema, for Chaim Baruch Eliezer ben Rasa Esther. So we'll complete for Shalema and hear good news very soon. So this is Kuntrish Toras Chassidus. This is a very famous thing. Last year, Rabbi Weiss, when he spoke on Tes Yud Kislev, he talked about this, and he said he learned it like 50 or 60 times, a lot of times. And he said something that he really, and Baruch Hashem, I had been fortunate enough to have learned it in the past, and I wanted to share what I've learned, and I hope we can all gain from it. I'll give you a quick summary of the way it works. So basically, essentially, the Rebbe said it on Yud Kislev, but he said it like in 2 different weeks, and they got compiled together. And essentially, the Rebbe came to explain what does it mean. What is Chassidus? What's Chassidus? Is it another Pirish and Torah? And if I was at home having a bringing in, on the Shabbos something, I'd ask, what does everyone think Chassidus is? And I love everyone to think to themselves for the few seconds while we talk, what do they think Chassidus is? So essentially, the Rebbe starts off by explaining. He says, "This is what people think Chassidus is. That the film Shassidin. That and we're gonna go into it. And essentially, what the Rebbe explains, I'm giving you all the answers now, is that Chassidus is essentially like the Atzmos, Atzim. It's like the neshama, and because that's what Chassidus is, so that brings out in every facet of lives. Expresses itself, whereas like a pirush on the Torah, let's say, you have an explanation. So you have a pirush that's pshat. So the pshat is a very simplistic, but it's one aspect of it. Whereas Chassidus is like the neshama of it, and so therefore the Chassidus, and the Rebbe is going to explain this idea. Also, he's going to connect it with like Mashiach, explaining through the idea that Mashiach is not that like we think Mashiach is going to come. Suddenly we're going to have candies growing on the trees. That's not what Mashiach is. That's an outcome of what Mashiach is. Mashiach be'etzim is atzmos. It's elikus, and just like in the Chassidus is similar, and therefore the outcome of Chassidus of in that case of Mashiach is that we also have candy wherever we want it and things like that. And so to the outcome of Chassidus is that we do certain things, but that's not what Chassidus is. Chassidus is not. I didn't say I'm a Chassid because I wear a black hat and a white shirt. Because of Chassidus, so I wear black and white shirt, but that's not what makes me. That's all makes Chassidus. That's the outcome of the Chassidus. And that's what we're going to explain. And the Rebbe says, and I'll give you an example, and he'll go through Meida Ani, and he's going to explain Meida Ani according to all 5 levels of interpretation. There's the Pshat, which is the simple explanation, the Remez, is what it's hinting to. There's the Drush, which is, well, how can we expand on this idea and like apply to something else? And then there's the Yisod, and there's the Kabbalah of it. And then there's Chassidus, which Chassidus is the Neshama. And the Chassidus is going to explain what it is, what's the Chassidic Taich. And because Chassidus is the Etzem, it's the essence of everything. So therefore, the Chassidic Taich can be brought in to all the different levels of interpretation. And Chassidus is not another level of interpretation. Chassidus is the Etzem. And we're going to see this. It's going to be beautiful. And I think what I was thinking about when after Rabbi Weiss talked about it, I was realizing that essentially what we're meant to do, I think, if we understand this properly, is be able to learn a pasuk in Torah on 5 levels. On the pshat, what's the pasuk simply saying? What's the remez, the drush, and the side? And then we have to understand what's the Chassidus Taich. So you learn a maamer on a pasuk. You have to learn the Chassidus Taich, and you have to see how that Chassidus Taich fits into everything, and how that it helps understand and adds into the understanding of each of those levels. And with that, we'll start. So today we're basically going to explain, like I talked about in the beginning, what do people think Chassidus is? And the Rebbe is going to say that this is not it. Okay. Inyanah Toras Chassidus. Aleph. So in this book, it's on page 21. There's a pamphlet also that gave out, whatever. Wherever you have it, you can get in the stores over here. I'm sure you can online somewhere. If you need it, let me know. Aleph. In regards to the idea of haChassidus is and the novelty of Chassidus that comes in comparison to the parts of Torah that was revealed before Chassidus. Nemru Beurim Rabim. There's a lot of explanations given. And they're going to give 4 explanations on what people think Chassidus is. What did Chassidus add? So the first one is Aleph, Bizman Shel Baal Shem Tov. Haya ha'olam b'matzav shel his alfus. At the time of the Baal Shem Tov, the world was in a state of faintness. V'al yedei gilui Baal Shem Tov, v'teres Chassidus, through the Baal Shem Tov and revealing Chassidus, Nis'eir ha'olam mis alfusei. It'll work in the world from its slumber, from its condition. Because basically what happened was just before the Baal Shem Tov came around, the Jewish world was suffering immensely, physically, just the time period, and also there was the false Messiah that had come, and the guy ended up converting to Islam, and it destroyed the Jewish people. A lot of people believed him. Shabtai Tzvi, a lot of people believed him, and a lot of the Jewish people, also the Rabbanim, came to him and said, and he was like, we're going to go to Yisrael, we're going to bring Mashiach, and everyone was so excited because that time period was very hard for the Jewish people. They lived very hard lives. And everyone jumped along, and a lot of people got caught up with it. And then he ended up being false, and it destroyed the people. Destroyed the Jewish people. Also, those pogroms around then. The whole situation was really not good. So then comes Baal Shem Tov, and he comes, he reveals Chassidus, only, this is Chassidus, look at the Baal Shem Tov, it's beautiful. That's one thing that people say. Another idea, amongst many, based Chassid who what's a chassid? Chassid is someone who does it above the letter of the law. Like it says, Sofin chassid. Af agav shemazikle. That when it comes to cutting your nails, so when you cut your nails, one of the reasons why we cut is because we don't want to be short because of clipper. The nails is connected with clipper, so you want to get rid of them. Now in the old days, you didn't have a bathroom; you just flush it down the toilet. So what would you do? So you just cut it and you put it in the ground. You just, throw it on the ground, or you dig a hole and put it in. But the problem is, if it rains, then it could come back up to the surface. And we don't want that. And it's and also we know that it's can be dangerous for pregnancy. So what Chassidim would do is they would burn it. I'll take the nails and burn it, destroy it. And that way they were 100% sure that nothing bad would happen. Now, when I first learned this years ago, a little naive. So I'm like, they burn the nails? Like I thought took a match the nails. So of course, that's not what it is. You cut your nails and then you put it in a piece of paper or whatever, and you put it somewhere and you burn it. And there's people who do it today. And that's sort of the best way to get rid of it, especially in those days. And even though you're burning something that's part of you, it got rid of, it's like separated from you, but it's still part of you. It's a very hard thing to do. But nevertheless, because they cared so much about someone else, and they don't want anything bad coming to anyone else, they burnt it. So that's a chassid. He goes above the letter of the law. A gimel, a third explanation of what chassidus is. Ma'alas chassidus hu shehakoiches hativim naisim koiches elikim. That the natural koiches, our natural tendencies, become godly ones. Like the Alter says, Kol Inyanah Chassidus hu. The whole idea of Chassidus is the shanesh tevim b'deisav, to transform the nature of your attributes, meaning out of your character. Meaning lo'irak l'shanesh b'deisav tivim, not just to change your attributes, your character, elagam tevim b'deisav, also the nature. So Chassidus is coming to transform you, to change you. That we can say to ourselves that we are such and such type of person, and what Chassidus brings is that we can be a totally different person. We can transform ourselves, not just, and this is a very, very deep idea, that not just we change our nature, meaning we work on ourselves and we push ourselves, but we can transform the nature of our nature. That by nature, we could be a person that's very lazy, and we can work on ourselves to be not so lazy. But essentially what we're doing is we're saying, I'm a lazy person, worked on myself not being lazy. We can transform ourselves to be, I'm not a lazy person. And you really are. It could be, it's hard for me to get up. Suddenly I'm a person that gets up. I'm an early riser. You can transform yourself. That's what Chassidus does. Now, and another explanation. Toras haChassidus chidsha asher kol echad ve'echad. The Chassidus gave the ability that every single person, even if he doesn't have a very high level, very high neshama, not very spiritually in tune, also we didn't refine ourselves. We are able to understand godliness. Being Chassidus explains the Kabbalah, and he brought it down into a way that we can understand in our own mortal minds, like it says, that from our flesh we can see God. That Chassidus gives mashalim, parables from our own life, and through that we can understand godliness. So nisna ha'efsharius kol echad ve'echad lahasig gam chelek zeh sheb'Torah. Give us the ability. Every person can even understand this level in Torah. The nefesh is not just a godly soul can understand, which of course it can understand. It's very easy for it to understand because it's connected to godliness. Ela gam ha'seichel the nefesh of ha'sichlis ad ba'seichel the shebenafsh habahamis, to the extent that even your nefesh habahamis, even the animalistic soul that cares about animalistic things, can understand and appreciate and really recognize godliness. And yeah, so this is what we're saying. We're saying there's these different levels of what Chassidus is. Whether it's, and this is different interpretation. People say Chassidus is. One of them is, like we said, just to summarize, one of them is Chassidus is, it came to the Baal Shem Tov at the time where we were in a state of faintness because of all the troubles and trials and tribulations of Galus. And Chassidus came and sort of gave chayas. So that's what Chassidus is. Or some people say Chassidus is the fact that if you go in lefnimishus and you go above the level of the law, for example, of cutting your nails and burning them, to be extra strict just to make sure that no one gets damaged by them. Unlike, especially in those days, I'd bury it in the ground, it could come up, unfortunately. Or some people say Chassidus is really, the third one was Chassidus is that it gives you the ability to transform yourself. That's what Chassidus is. What's Chassidus? Chassidus transforms you. That you can change your nature. Or now that people say it's Chassidus, it gives you the ability to understand Kabbalah. It's like I had a friend, he told me, I was learning this with him a month or two ago, and he said his mother says Chassidus is basically just teaching you what Kabbalah means, to understand Kabbalah. But Chassidus gives you mashalim, ways to understand it. So the Rebbe is going to explain that Chassidus is not, these things aren't what Chassidus is. They are an outcome of what Chassidus is. Chassidus is etzem, and because it's etzem, so it expresses itself in being able to transform you, being able that the Baal Shem Tov can rejuvenate the Jewish people. We can be extra frum with the way we do things, and we can understand Kabbalah. That's not what Chassidus is. That's an outcome of what Chassidus is. And tomorrow we're going to start to explain what Chassidus is, and we're going to bring it in and he's going to explain it what Chassidus is, but then he's going to come in the next, and after that he's going to explain it by understanding what it means, Mashiach. To be continued. Have a great day, everybody.